My Gavanen and well met indeed. My name is Runstag and welcome to the Prologue episode, or otherwise known as episode 0, for the Woodland Realm campaign for Divide and Conquer version 5 with the Epic Unity Rework, with an early access version of that mod as well. So welcome then to the Prologue episode. Here we go. So yes, nice little artwork there. I'm not sure if I use that as a thumbnail, but it does look really nice. And I like the stags in the background, and it's really cool. And the elven city in the background is really cool as well. It's definitely not, it's probably something more of the second age, first age possibly for Lord of the Rings, but it does look really good. And I love it. And I thought that's a good way to start the video. So there's been a bit of change of the channel. A lot of this series has taken about 3 months since we did the polls and things, so it's been a long time coming. But here we are at last. Now, also, one thing you'll notice is I've also introduced a webcam, so you can actually now, for the first time, well, unless you've seen the multiplayer stuff, but for the first people watching, you can now see my face. Now, I did a poll actually asking you what you thought about the webcam, and 45 people, 76% of those 45 people were mostly on board with me bringing on a face cam. So I figured I'd give it a shot. I've done it a few times in a couple of videos, and I'll give it a go, see what you think. And let me know your thoughts on it as well. Obviously, that's the main thing. That's why I'm doing it. Is not for the purposes of improving the algorithm, but also because why not? It just adds a bit of personality to the videos, and it makes it a little bit more engaging. So I figured why not. So the Woodland Realm campaign then. So this prologue video, for those who haven't seen one like this, an example would of course be the Kelgar episode, the episode 0 I did for that. So I would recommend watching. Well, that is basically similar to this. So there will be a poll at this video as well. The link to that will be in the description, and we'll discuss that later on. So, basically we'll go through and basically just do all the opening stuff as we would do for a video early on. Is this one I did that? No, I'll show you that in a second. But basically, I did a poll recently, just asking you, would you like me to do a prologue episode again, like I did for the Kelgar one, and most people were indeed in favour. As you can see with this poll here, a couple of people were just open to leaving it for the first episode, but majority of people, even though it's not many people in the vote, it's those little normal, very minor little polls don't get massive traction, but that's okay. It's not really meant to. It's just a little poll, isn't it really? So most people were in favour of the episode 0 and the prologue episode. So let's crack on. So there'll be a link in the description that will take you to a poll. That'll be they'll give you a choice of how the campaign is going to be played. And I'll go over that later on. So the Woodland Realm then. So originally I did a vote a while back. I'm asking you, it's just generally for DAC. And most people were more inclined to, and eventually Dorwinian won the vote. Most people preferred the Northmen, although it was a bit close between the dwarves. Another 11% and they would have won. So it's not a huge close one. But the reason we're doing as the Woodland Realm and not Dorwinian is because Dorwinian, I was promised early access and given early access for Dorwinian, but a lot of the modding and stuff wasn't really complete yet, so I figured, and I was convinced to wait a bit longer than 3 months, for some stuff to be done with Dorwinian, and then maybe eventually I'll come back and play as them in the future. But obviously unfortunately I can't play as them yet, but one day we will play as Dorwinian. But instead I was offered early access to a different build of some of the version 2 build for the Sylvan Elves, and the choice between Woodland Realm and Lothlorien. So I figured I would do a vote actually asking you all what faction would you prefer, and most people wanted me to play as the Woodland Realm, which I'm on board with. I quite like the Woodland Realm, and I think that's going to be a fun series. And as I said in this one, yes, I will do the Dorwinian campaign in the future, but for now we're going to start with the Woodland Realm, which is a faction probably one of my favourite of the Sylvan Elves, to be honest, so I was quite happy they won. And but I will probably play as Lothlorien in the future. I did mention that I will play as Lothlorien in this poll here if the choice goes differently. Now I didn't say for definite, but if we play as Lothlorien, then I do the other option. So I did a poll. Now really I probably would have done this vote actually for episode 0, but I just didn't think about it at the time. And most people were keen for me to play the standalone choice, which means we'll remain independent. Gain access to our most elite units and ents, and that was it. Obviously, Union means we would basically become we would annex Lothlorien and absorb the custom generals, as well as many of Lorren's units, but many people voted for us to not do that. I kind of like the idea because I feel Thranduil himself probably wouldn't go along with the idea of Union becoming together. I think it's more about, I think Celeborn and Galadriel will be more on board with it than Thranduil would be. So it makes sense from a lore perspective, I guess, or a character perspective. So the standalone choice we will be taking in this campaign. And if you play Lothlorien, we'll do the Union next time around. I also did the poll a while just because there's quite a few campaigns that I plan to start. In which order, this is sort of, I guess, the order of the campaigns. And the Woodland Realm was sort of second place in this little first poll, which is okay. I wanted to do Woodland Realm before this, preferably, because I mentioned about this ages ago. But Battlefield Earth 1 I probably will do either next or very soon after. Because I do want to, because the Battlefield Earth series, it started back in 2022. So I really want to wrap it up at some point. So I'll probably kick off with that soon. And then Evil campaign afterwards. Even though the RPG was higher than the Evil campaign, I kind of just want to wrap up Battlefield Earth altogether. So the RPG I'll do sometime afterwards. I also did the poll as well for the other options I wanted to do, and the Dane Dynasty was pretty high for that as well. So that'll probably crack up. We'll probably see that a prologue episode for that fairly soon. And eventually we'll probably do the Byzantine Empire as well, which will be quite fun. But yeah, so that's also something I wanted to mention. Now, if you're not interested, feel free to skip ahead in the video. But there's a few changes that have happened on the YouTube channel that I thought I would go into detail about. So obviously you've noticed a couple of the multiplayer series I've been popping up lately. Those I've been doing as more of a side series or filler series, but I would recommend you give them a watch. So that's basically been what's going on the channel. There's been a lot of multiplayer stuff because I've been playing a lot of it on the Discord with the people lately. And for those interested, do jump along. There's other stuff as well. It's not just going to be CK2. I've also recorded the first 2 episodes of a Minecraft. I will look towards the screen. I'm not used to looking at a camera, just for those wondering if I'm looking directly on, because that's what most people will do with a video camera. So yeah, I've been doing a Minecraft little series that you'll probably see at some point in the future. Although I'll probably wrap up some of these first, ideally. But yeah, I've got loads and loads of parts of this still to go. I've got hours and hours and hours of footage to render and upload, so there's plenty of that to come. A lot of it is pre-recorded, so if you'll give me tips and suggestions, I can't really, you won't see any of that taken into action until a lot later in the series, so don't expect it to happen. I've also restructured the channel a little bit, so also I've changed up a few links. So my Discord server is now just my Discord server because I basically called it the Frozen Empire, and that's a new. And I'm probably gonna make a Discord thing myself. Let me just go to just somewhere. Yeah, let's go here. But basically, this is my Discord, and I've rebranded it a little bit. I'm going to turn this off so you can actually see it. So it's called the Frozen Empire, and the idea is I'm going to re-theme the server every month. So at the moment it's July. I did sort of set this up early in June, but for every month. So in August we'll change up the theme once more, probably to like something different, maybe a Holy Order or something like that with me as the Grand Master, and the roles, and some of the channels will change as well. So that's sort of the idea with that. Basically, it's going to be rethemed each time. There's also now and again events pop up. It's not at the moment because I'm unavailable this weekend. But next weekend there'll probably be an event. But yeah, basically I pop the events down here and we sort of get involved and play there. And it's pretty cool. And basically the Discord, I think, is something I need to do my own video on again. I do them now and again. I did one. Where is it? Up the top here, I think. Was it here? No, it was in this channel. I do a little overview and discussion of the Discord, but as we've gone from the Frozen Realm to just being the Frozen Stag Discord, with the title changing each time, I can't really call it that. So I'll probably just call the overview of the Frozen Stag Discord, and then the name will be whatever the theme is of the server, which might be the Frozen Empire, if I do it particularly soon. But as you can see, there's lots of information there as well, and the Discord is a nice little place for you to just join in. If you're interested in the community of the Discord, if you're interested in getting involved in some of the hot seating down here that we do, or possibly some more co-op hot seating, which is something I'm going to lean more towards in the future, or if you just want to get involved in some gaming events that range from Crusader Kings 2, CK free, well, Crusader Kings 2 and free, probably free to be honest, because that's a bit more stable for multiplayer, and also other stuff as well, like Among Us, Minecraft, and various other games, and Battlefront 2, Star Wars Battlefront 2, and Total War and stuff like that. So lots of different games. Warhammer 3, possibly a co-op thing, maybe later down the line, that's been talked about, but that's a different thing entirely. I've edited my links a little bit, so you can actually, so I've taken away the ones that I don't use, although I may possibly use my ModDB page a little bit more, and I might replace it for the Instagram one. But the Insta one is just basically where I post random pictures. I am eventually going to post pictures of my of my holidays away, and I've done a few there as well. But I will eventually endeavour to post more as time goes on. I'm just pretty busy with life. And I've got my Steam page there as well, so if you're interested in checking out my Steam page, it's all here. Crack on. There's my most recent games: CK3, CK2, Medieval 2, Warhammer 3. Although I've played a little bit of it lately. We'll talk more about that, because I basically got Warhammer 3 on the sale and lots of DLCs, and spent a fortune on the DLCs, which we won't talk about, but that's stuff you might see in the future. And I've got my Xbox page, so this is mainly for Xbox. At the moment, it's become quite useful and a bit more active with me playing Minecraft, because I've used the Bedrock edition, because it's a little bit more easier with multiplayer than just servers and things like that. So you can probably see, well, I'm online now, but obviously you would have noticed that I've been playing Minecraft lately, but it's not on there for some reason, even though maybe it's because it has to be via Xbox. I'm not too sure. Anyway, but that's my Xbox, so if you want to get involved for the purposes of Minecraft, then obviously it's worth jumping on and getting in there. Also, my PlayStation page, I can't seem to find a link to like I can with the Microsoft thing. It just seems to, this is the closest I can get. Join my Discord. Does that link even work? Oh no, that's not what I want. No. That's someone I was looking up earlier. Don't mind me, I'm single. No. Oh, it does work. Oh yeah, it does work. Okay, that's fine. But yeah, that's my PlayStation account as well. So I've got some various bits on there. Games that I play, games that I haven't played in a while, and I haven't really used PlayStation in a while, to be honest. So it's probably time for me to actually replay it. I'm kind of waiting actually for a new monitor for that, because I can't really play my consoles at the moment. Because the way I've got the 4K capture card plugged into my computer, I actually need a proper, because these monitors are HD, so I need a 4K one for that. Now I've got my Instagram page, as I mentioned earlier. But I probably may swap that one out, because it's a bit more of a personal page, hence the photos of my family and things. So I might swap that out for like the ModDB page if I get into the habit of doing modding. And there's my email. If you send me random emails, you can join all the random marketing emails I get over the course of my life. And as it's pretty obvious, you probably see, we're about 2 months away now. Well, just over 2 months away from my 10-year anniversary on YouTube, which is pretty cool. But yes, onto the channel itself, I've reformatted things a bit. There's a little page where it just pops up what the most recent upload is, or the first episode of the series, so you'll probably see the Woodland Realm one here at some point. I also have a For You page, so it pops up with recommended options, so for me it's recommended me 4 of the 4 different campaigns I've done. Videos will just go up here, and then I've got the Grand Strategy Game campaigns, all going to be popped in this little section here. I've also gone through and knocked out quite a few old series, so they're all in different phases now. And all like the newer content I'm going to do is going to be popped up in these categories here. So Grand Strategy Games will just be along here in their playlists. Total War Game Campaign Series will just be up here. Miscellaneous games, so mainly Battle on Earth, will be here as well. And I'm going to do Marathon and Full Players collections as well. So anything I've done that's multiplayer or campaign related in the within this year will go in its own little playlist. So all the episodes of that series will follow in there as well. And also the Battle on Earth games, so any like campaigns I've done are all in one big playlist. So if you want to marathon them all, you can. And also any like old special products or non-campaign stuff that's non-campaign related, or stuff that's a one-off videos that just makes it to this playlist over here. So yeah, so any of that is you can check out there. Any hot seat videos, which I am looking to make some more eventually, but I'm getting there, right? I've got 17 to do, so like I'm in. It's gonna take me a while. But about another 17 of those basically, so it's going to be a while away. Any installation guides, campaign overviews, installation guides, overviews. I have a little bit of a plan to maybe go back to in the future, so we're looking to that. Podcasts I've done, although it's been a very long time, so I've done podcasts, as you can see, 4 years ago now. I don't have any plans to revisit them anytime soon, I'm afraid, for anyone wondering. And then I've got like workshop videos where I used to make like lots of thumbnails and things, but I don't nowadays, hence 9 years ago. And then I've got some like random montages, CSGO montages and stuff like that. Yeah, very, very old stuff. Nope. Random, I used to do world building games, any multiplayer battles, but I don't do it nowadays, so they just go in there. And any special videos such as a room and setup tour, which is definitely on the cards, because I'm sitting in a different place. Well, not I'm in the same room, but it's in a very different place. And yeah, lots have changed since then. Like, there's still stuff to change, and there's like such as getting a new PC, which is my plan at the moment because I can't run certain games, which I've discovered lately with OBS anyway, mainly. But yeah, all the old campaigns I've chucked into phases. So phase 1 is basically all the old campaigns. What I did when I first started YouTube, first started out, are all in this playlist. So dating from 2015 to about 2017, if I remember correctly. So all in that playlist there. Phase 2 are the more campaigns going from 2019 to 2024, I would say. These are all the campaigns that are sort of newer, but it didn't really have a proper ending, or like they didn't end very well, or the ending, for whatever reason, I couldn't give it a proper ending, and I just didn't think they were that strong. So I've left them on here. So Dane series, because that obviously ended with us getting murked by the White Walkers, but we are going to redo the Dane soon, so that'd be fun. And also other stuff here as well. And phase 3 are the campaigns that are newish from 2019, or more 2020 with that one actually, to of course 2024. These are all the campaigns I've chucked in that I do plan to remaster at some point and redo, and I'm going to do that with every single series eventually. But I plan to absolutely go back and do some of these eventually in the future. But most of these campaigns all here have decent endings. They start well and they end well, sort of. So they're good enough to go in their own little playlist, and they're good enough to be archived in that little section there. But I do plan on redoing a few in the future, so stay tuned for that. In fact, on my Discord, just briefly, I will quickly show you is that on here I've got a little channel where I have all the details, so any like my setup and things, which will be updated soon when I get my new PC, all my various links, so ModDB, an invite link if you want to invite people to the Discord, and a fanfiction account which I just use to read stuff now and again if there's a fanfiction that catches my eye. Although right now I'm reading via my Kindle the Warlord, is it the Warlord Chronicles? The Last Kingdom books basically. So I'm reading those at the moment, so I don't really use that fanfiction account. And ModDB I don't use at the moment, although that may change if I decide to put some sub-mods on there, but that we'll talk about later. And all my links there as well. My little PSN photo profile. What even is that? Is that a... that was like a serpent, I think, or dragon, I think. That's pretty cool. That must have been one that I thought of. All that look cool. I've yet to platinum any games yet, so that's be a little plan to do. A lot of my Discord milestone, YouTube milestones, all there. Video ideas are there as well. So any like video ideas I've had in the past, I'll stick them in there, and maybe I'll go for them eventually. Also stuff that I've got that I've been considered, like so suggestions or stuff that was in the poll, but I never got around to putting it into a poll. They'll all be popped up here as well. There's lots of other things that I'll add in as well. I saw a suggestion that I saw from a guy on the Prologue episode, so I'm looking at the Prologue episode to get some ideas, and that I probably will add as well because it's a cool little idea. Definitely could do some Dynasty series for the different dragon seeds, and there's a message here. Talking about this starting. But yeah, some basically any like suggestions I'll pop up here, and eventually I'll cover them. And when I cover them, I'll just take them off the list eventually in the far future. So series to be, these are the ones that I'm going to remaster eventually, or in the future via. I think did I record the same thing? No, other like votes that I've done, things like that. If I can't fit them in that one, and they're all in that session there. So eventually I will go through and redo a couple of those as time goes on. But we'll see. Well, actually, this I can take off. There's one I can take off because we're going to do that soon. There you go. So I'm narrowing down the list as we go. We're getting there, right? But without further ado, that's all I have to say about the channel, really. That's a new format. So this Total War series will go up here. All the Total War campaigns will go there. And any like stuff that I feel like it is a collection. Sorry, my eyes are watering. No, I think it might be the sweat. At the moment, it's very hot in the United Kingdom. It is boiling. And it's just ridiculously hot. I'm also getting my bathroom redone at the moment, so that's going to be difficult to manage because I have to get around all the stuff that's being done, landing upstairs, and obviously it's just so hot at the moment. It's just really warm, ridiculously hot. That, and I've been obviously doing a lot of overtime at work lately. I've been on holiday for 2 weeks. I'm now off for a week now, so I've got a bit of time to sort some stuff out. So that's good. Coming around at a good time, and also it's just been so warm. Just so hot to sit up here. And I've also sort of waited sometimes. I'm almost like waiting like towards when the sun has gone, because the sun rises from this window here and goes over. So I almost wait till it's like over that side, and then I can start the it's just too hot in this room. And yeah, but I'm enjoying the week off, and hopefully I'll get some YouTube videos done and stuff like that. So any like collections, so say for example I've done quite a few Lord of the Rings sort of videos, or maybe I've done a lot of like Woodland Realm, Sylvan Elf sort of factions, and in the series, and I can always pop them down here. For CK2, it could be like if I've done quite a few Game of Thrones or Dawnage campaigns in Dawn, then maybe I'll pop them down here. We'll see, I guess. Or if it's like target, if it's like Dane related, so maybe for example I've done a Dane Dynasty series, and then I've done a series on CK3 and CK2, and then I've done a House of like, a bit like the House of Dragon series, but for Dane, like House of the Dawn or something like that. Then I can pop all the Dane related content in there basically, which would be a nice little Dane marathon, I suppose. But anyway, I've rambled on long enough. Let's, what I'll do is I'll cut now, and we'll go to the campaign, and we'll discuss a bit about that, and then we can dive straight in. Also, I have done a bit of modding for this campaign as well, but the files themselves are not available to the public, because I'm using an early access version of EUR, so I can't give those files out. But I will, eventually, when I do my own little DAC submod, that's not going to be with any early access builds, something like that, eventually in the future. That's all for now, then. I shall jump forward to when we're opening the campaign, go over a few bits there, and then we can basically just end the video there, and then we can then jump on into the first episode once the poll has had a bit of time to go to digest, basically. So I shall see you shortly. Alright, here we are at the DAC EUR menu screen, and I have to say, just straight away, the menu screen looks bloody amazing. Look at it. Gandalf's animated, the Balrog's animated, the Balrog's making a roar sound, there's fire in the background, there's lightning in the background, there's lightning effects, there's like what's supposed to be like lava and magma going down there. It looks bloody amazing. And I can only imagine how much work that's gone into just to make this. I believe some early origin story that EUR was going to be like a Balrog submodel or something like that at the very beginning. And it was going to be like, and then it obviously became the Epic, well, it first began as the Expand Unit Rework, was it? Expand Unit roster, I think. And then obviously is now the Epic Unity Rework, where it's become the culmination of more than just its one mod. Although one thing I would really recommend is have EURs the same size as a U in the as a U, because it looks really odd being small. And that's my only complaint. Other than that, it looks amazing. But it'd be nice if it looked like the same, like so E would be slightly bigger. Like DAC, for example, it would just look a little bit better. Anyway, again, this is all an early access version. It's version 1.83, if I remember correctly. And that's the version we're using. So without further ado, let's dive on in with the Woodland Realm campaign. Now, if you want to have a little read of this, then go ahead. I'll pause the video. You can pause the video and have a read. But I won't read it here. I will read the first and the first messages for the campaign at the beginning. And then I'll start with basically we just start with either possibly, potentially, if you're lucky, and if I had the strength to do it, then I may do a intro for the first episode, and then I probably will do something a little bit like with there'll be something, what was it? There's gonna be like a little cinematic thing at the beginning that I'm gonna use from a certain mod that I think is fitting for this. I'm gonna use. That's our little overview of notable units and things like that. In terms of what we're going to do is we're going to start the campaign. I'm going to show you what I've done modding wise myself. There's a few things you'll notice, such as a new edited family tree, lots of new custom generals, a few custom agent, and a few bits and bobs here as well. So yeah, the rebels are not a playable faction in the game. I've just set them up so they're playable because I can do some modding for them and stuff like that. Something you also notice as well, this is something I'm going to sort of do for my my own sort of mod. I haven't gone crazy modding for this. I will probably for my own sort of sub-mod that I want to do for DAC, which is going to be like a custom general overhaul and various stuff. It's probably going to have its own little fancy name. Maybe I'll bring back War of Enerath led line, which is what I called the project originally back when I was doing it, but I never completed it, so I ended up canning the project mainly. But maybe I'll bring it back. No one else has coined that phrase yet, so I'll use it. But yeah, lots of generals around the campaign. These starting ones in the desk strat, all will come with custom bodyguards. Not so much the ones that come in via like scripts and some of that. I mean, some do anyway. But some of them already have comes in as like scripts for like factions. Like Angmar gets 2 custom generals at the start, but that's because of the mod. Because that's basically because of the buff that they get when fighting against AI, because Angmar has to fight against quite a lot of people. But without further ado, we'll dive on in because I'm getting hungry and I want dinner. So Difficult will be very hard because the difficulties is just piss easy for easy and it's just too easy. Everything is balanced for very hard for DAC itself and EUR, so it's always recommended to stick with very hard. I mean, some people like to play hard because the AI is less biased towards you, but in DAC you have the AI, well, AI allies can't usually betray you, so very hard is usually okay if you can get them on board with an alliance. And battle difficulty means the AI is more of a challenge and won't rout as easily in the battlefield. Manageable cities have turned on. This I'll have turned off in case there's any issues where the AI bugs out and I'm like defending the siege, so I don't have to like go out there and face them and then die. Or if any battle maps are bugged out and I can just wait for the time to run out and then I should win or lose or draw the battle. CPU moves I'll turn off. Sometimes I can change that later on, but I'll turn it off for now because it just makes the turns go a bit faster. Video edition wise, I did ponder this because I was watching Cold Meat 247, very old YouTuber, doesn't do any videos now, but he has a few a good series that are worth watching. And he opts to go for short campaigns because he likes to go for the short video edition and then do more stuff later down the line with less restrictions. And I think I used to do that before many years ago as well. And I agree, but I do kind of like the idea of doing a long campaign because we get to do more stuff. We get to fight door with door, and we get to fight Mordor. And I haven't fought Mordor yet in this campaign. I don't think we fought Mordor once in any Lord of the Rings campaign just yet. Apart from the Third Age Fellowship campaign, that's the only exception. But other than that, I don't think I fought Mordor once in the channel, apart from in DCI Last Alliance, but a different mod entirely, so it's not the same. Mordor and DCI and the Mordor and DAC is two different beasts. So let's dive on in. I'd love to know your thoughts about this, but would you like me to edit out the loading screens and the turns? So I'd love to know your thoughts on that. Would you like me to, or would you like me to not bother? Now, I think what I might do is I'll record the... I think what I'll do is I'll stop the recording and record again for the loading screen and turn. So when I look back at all the video files, I'm like, oh yes, this is the one that I can edit out the turn time. It's just because when you're coming back into loading screen, sometimes some cool animations play out and you end up missing them if you don't record that bit. So I think I'll keep that in. So we'll read this first message. So ignore this. Diamoth dying is because Diamoth is going to be is part of Gondor, and Diamoth is going to be eventually going to be reskinned and used as Linden, as the realm of Linden for the High Elves. The High Elves are going to be re-split up again, or re-split up, or just split up. For those who don't know, also have a read of this. This is a very nice little message to read for those who've just played only Medieval 2 or any other Total War games and like to know what the major differences are. That aren't already pretty obvious, being the Lord of the Rings conversion mod. So do give a read of this, it's rather useful and has a lot of good information. And it saves you a few messages and the questions that you'll take to the modding team, because to be honest, they probably won't ask you, and we'll just direct you to this. So have a read, it's worth looking at when you start your campaign. I will read this in a second, and I will read that in a moment as well. One thing I will note, because it's on my mind, I won't forget about it, is that you'll notice that the Breland has a new sigil. And no, the Breland aren't going to become an evil faction. They are actually going to be taken out of the game, and basically the Dunedain's going to be take over some of the lands. I think the Dunedain are going to be get an overhaul, I think possibly for version 2, I think as well, or maybe a version 3 of EUR as well. But Bree is going to be taken as a base and used for the new Blue Crag faction, which is a faction that I think is really cool. A friend of mine is big into Lord of the Rings Online. That's sort of the basis of the faction. It's like a goblin dwarven faction. Really interesting. And a bit of Dowerhand dwarves, stuff like that. You'll notice as well that the faction symbols have been updated, apart from these little bits here, but I'm sure they will eventually as well. Well, the one for Breland has already. All they might leave is because if they've edited the Breland one, I don't know if they edit the other one, but they look pretty cool. Some are different colours, so maybe the colours of the factions might respect. Erebor has quite a cool little green look, which is unique and interesting. Makes a change from the red, and there's a few there as well. Some of them are pretty good, some of them look like improvements, some of them I feel like could be a little bit better. I did like the version of the Angmar one where it's just a Witch King's crown. I did like the sort of the eye above the Gundabad mountain. I thought that was kind of interesting, but again, that Gundabad I suppose isn't really beholden to Sauron, they're more beholden to Melkor, so maybe like a sigil, maybe like a little Melkor image, or just something like an icon above it would be quite cool. I like the idea of that. But yeah, so that's some of the new stuff. Nothing crazy. I mean, I haven't got the files for the rune overhaul. That's not really quite done yet. And I think there's the Dwelling ones. Obviously, that's being done as well. And I think there's, I can't remember if there's any few. I know there's an Ed wipe one, but I think that's for AGO, different thing. Other than that, I don't think, obviously Eowyn is now in as a general for Rohan, which is pretty cool. And speaking of female generals, there is also another that we joined us for this campaign. Thanks to me, this little script. Voila! And there she is. Toriel joined us in this campaign via the powers of EOP and via the powers of EUR, who have done a phenomenally cool job in setting up Toriel as a custom general, which is really cool. So she joined us in the game, and I'll save now just in case something happens. But yes, so what I will do for this first bit, I won't do any like campaign management or anything, or army placement. I will just show off what's on the game, and then we should dive on in. And also mention the poll. So what different ways will we play the campaign? All that I will mention towards the end of the video, so stay tuned for that. I will read the first opening message, and we shall dive on in. I'll turn the webcam off to get more immersive. Doriath, the Hidden Kingdom, was the greatest of the Sindarin realms in Beleriand. For many long years it flourished under the rule of Elu Fingol and Melian, his queen. But during the wars of Beleriand, it was destroyed, sacked first by treacherous dwarves and later by the jealous sons of Feanor. Many of those who survived the fall of the realm fled east, past the towering peaks of the Feiglir, into lands where we, the Tuar wife, Sylvan Elves, long sundered from the Elves of Beleriand, dwelled. Being a rustic people lesser in wisdom than the Sindar, we accepted them as our lords. Originally, who lived here was actually was it the Nandor Elves? I think the ones that went far to the east, but like the Ivari. But they settled these lands, and when obviously Orifer and all that turned up, they, as lesser people, accepted Orifer as their king. So yeah. Being a rustic people lesser in wisdom than the Sindar, we accepted them as our lords. Under the guidance of Amdir and Orifer, the realms of Lindorinand, which is Lothlorien, and Eren Laskalan, which is the Woodland Realm, were established, and for many years we lived in peace. Peace, however, was not to last, for the rising power of Mordor forced us and our Sindarin princes to take up arms during the last alliance of elves and men. Amdir and Orifer, along with his sons Amroth and Thranduil, heeded the call of Gil-galad and led great hosts to battle. Sauron was defeated, but at great cost. Both Amdir and Orifer were slain, along with most of their armies. Thranduil, his heart filled with disquiet and disillusionment, Orifer's son led us northward, where he consolidated the Woodland Realm and delved an underground fortress in the style of Menoroth in Doriath. However, in the southern reaches of the newly named Mirkwood Forest, the ever-present shadow began to grow stronger and stronger. The White Council sought to cleanse the old fortress of Dol Guldur, but despite their success, evil has once again returned, and now Sauron has openly proclaimed war on any who seek to lead free lives. While the Woodland Realm may be ill-equipped in arms and armour when compared to our western kin, we are hardy and valiant warriors whose skill with the bow is unmatched, and whose hatred of Sauron runs deep. In the shadows of the forest, our warriors can bring down any foe with swift silence, but we have yet to fight openly on the plains of Gorgoroth, Daggerlad, and the Brown Lands. I mean, we did fight in Daggerlad, it didn't go very well. We must also ask ourselves, should we leave the dwarfs of Erebor, the bitter dour Norgrim, and the men of Dale, long our friends, to their own defence? Should we abandon the land of Dorwinion to watch its vineyards burn, and concentrate on the possible unification of our forces with those of Celeborn and Galadriel? Do we face Dol Guldur, or even turn to the arid Mithrin, the Grey Mountains, to force back the orcs and goblin folk of the Misty Mountains? Our allies seem few and far away, beset by their own concerns, and our position is not unenviable. But we shall not abandon Middle-earth. We will strike like vengeful shadows to lure and annihilate our foes for good. To see the lands of Mirkwood unite once more. Is that an impossible dream? After all these years? Perhaps, but it is a good thought, my lord. And even a slim possibility is a possibility nonetheless. Only time will tell if we tree folk can rally to become a force of power, or if we stay skulking in the shadows, trapped like fish in a barrel. Now, I don't know if it's just the text, but it is quite an old message. So some of the text is a little old. Some's been changed, but a lot of it is kind of like in in different past tenses, and there's a bit of a mess. Like, I'm not really sure who is reading this out, and who is like, is it the who is the guy who calls Frandor Lord? I'm guessing. I'm not really sure. Like, his heart filled with disquiet, and they didn't really mention the Frandor's heart filled with disquiet and disillusionment, and went. So I kind of like edited a bit when I was like going through, but like it could do with a bit of a revamp, but it's alright. It's just a bit of fluff about the Woodland Realm, and there you go. Originally, for those who don't know, Frandor's Realm used to be called, well, it used to be called exactly that. Frandor's Realm. Franduil, or is it Franduil or Frandruil? No, it's not Frandruil, because that doesn't sound like. I'm sure it's Franduil. Anyway, correct me if I'm wrong. But Franduil's Realm, yeah, the faction used to be called that, but has since been renamed to the Woodland Realm. It has been for quite a while. Because if Franduil died, would that make sense to still be called Franduil's Realm if you're playing as like of Legolas as your leader or somebody else? It just doesn't make sense. So that's why I changed it, and I agree. And also, why it's on my mind, Torfalin means Arrow Forest, for those who don't know. It's just in the back of my mind. I thought, if I don't say it now, I never will. So that's what it means for those wondering. We'll read the next message, and then we should dive into the game. Yavanna created the Ents to protect the woodlands of Middle-earth from the proud sons of Aule, being the dwarfs. But how could she have foreseen the threat now posed to the flora of this once peaceful land? Sauron's power grows day by day, and the shadow of his malice seeps through the boughs of Mirkwood and Ophidian. Camor ensures the southern reaches of the Great Wood are twisted more and more away from Yavanna's light. And the treachery of Saruman threatens the forest keepers themselves. Despite these odds, the tree herders still fight, and we shall fight with them. In order to protect the forest, it has been suggested that we seek a full union with our Sylvan elf kin. Whilst it may take many years to create a lasting pact, the makings of one can begin with a simple message of alliance, and our nobles would urge you to send a diplomat post-haste. So that is what we shall do. Basically to kick the script off, essentially. Which does mean that Frandor's Hall may become attacked later down the line. And we need to keep an eye on that eventually, but depending on how the campaign goes. So I'll start with the family tree. Nothing else has changed too much, apart from obviously the generals around the game. If I just quickly toggle foe a minute, you'll see that Gloin has a new custom bodyguard, which is the Hammers of Gundabad. And a couple dotted about, just using toggle foe a minute, and you'll see a few. Over here is the Heavy Knights of Eregion. Gildor's got, I think Gildor had some already, but he's got Horse Guard. This looks smashing. The Mythalon Nobles for Eladon, because Círdan has a different bodyguard. You'll see a bunch of the Nazgûl have different bodyguards. So, well, the Witch King has his Temple Knights, of course. Balaknar has some Armen Holokai. Zagar's got some Bog's Champions from Gundabad. And Gan Alton has Dragonwrath Cataphracts. Shivus has got some Trolls, and various other ones have got some other ones dotted about. I see if there's any others around. Grimbold's got some Rise of the Fold. Aemer's got some his own custom red shields of Erkenbrand. And obviously Umbar's got Ardenheim's got their own Royal Legion of Armenelos, which look damn cool. I remember suggesting that unit years ago for a mod, and I remember them for, I think it's the extended edition, I think it was called, and they did actually put it in, which was quite cool. And yeah, there's loads of different stuff there. I think Rune's got a couple like longbowmen there, and I think Karnamdur's got some Dragonwrath shields, which look pretty damn cool. I don't think Dog will have too many other ones dotted about. I think that's it, really. Yeah, obviously there are some more, but they're obviously in the settlements, so I can't quite show you them. I think Andy, I can show you. I think Alf comes with Bannerbreast Archers. Yes, he does. And Councilman Andy comes with... Can you see that? Not quite. No, I'll turn my webcam off for now. Merchant Infantry for his bodyguard, and there's a few others around that we probably may run into in the campaign. And if you're on the eastern side, we might not. Actually, can you see any of the ones up in... No, not quite. Yeah. Okay. That's just a little overview of some of the stuff I've done there. But your first major thing I changed, well, actually, it wasn't the first major thing, but one of the key things was, of course, the family tree, which I took some time to edit. Family trees in Medieval 2, I'm not sure why, but modding family trees is such a pain in the ass. But I figured it out, and I managed to get any single error that I faced in my modding. I managed to figure out a way around it. And I was very proud of myself. I was very chuffed that I managed to figure it out. So Orv is now in the family tree, married to a fictitious named wife called how do you say that? Anesophiel, I think. Anesophiel, I think. Orva's wife is never named. The same with Frandil, his wife was never named either. But I've come up with random names because you can't have a character without a name, so there has to be a name there. And yeah, Orva, of course, perished in battle, and his wife probably either died or went over to Valinor. Well, wouldn't have died. Probably went to Valinor, and obviously Frandil's wife was in the Hobbit film mentioned that she died. In the books, I'm sure she's probably still alive, but I like the idea of actually Frandil's wife dying. It adds a bit of depth to his character. Either that or she went to Valinor. Which I think that's cool. So there you go. Well, it's not cool that Frandil died and his legacy without a mother, but it just adds a bit of depth to the family, and I like that. And that's one of the shades from The Hobbit I quite liked. So yeah, Frandil was around, but he doesn't have a wife. Frandil has a fictitious sister, and this is something I kind of kept in the theme because every single if you ever played the Silvernails back in Third Age Total War, Caladwen always appears as a fictitious sixth sister to Legolas. I think originally in the Silvernail faction, I'm pretty sure that Haldir, when the Silvernails used to be together in the faction, Haldir, I'm pretty sure, he used to be married off the Caladwen. That's how he got into the family tree, basically. So that's how he ended up in the family tree. And I think, if I remember correctly, in DCI Last Alliance, yes, I do. I don't know why I'm saying if I remember correctly, because I do know this because I looked at it yesterday. There is Frandil has a sister also called Caladwen, so I thought I'd take a step further and add in the sister for Frandil. Maybe I should have kept in the theme and add one in for Orifer as well, but I thought that's pushing it. Then I'd have to make a fictitious father of Orifer, and I thought, nah, let's not do that. So yes, I named a fictitious sister called Elarinia. Now, I also noticed from the Realms in Exile mod for the CK3, sorry, that there's also a sister of Frandil in the game, which is quite cool. And also, I think, and there's also a couple characters that I nicked from. I nicked one from CK3, which is that one, and another one I nicked over there from CK2, and I'll talk about that in a second. So Elarinia is the fictitious sister of Frandil, which is pretty cool. Again, there's no. I can't remember the name of her in the game for the Realms in Exile mod, but I just came up with a fictitious name, and Elarinia went with that. I also married her to a custom general, which is sort of based off myself, and we'll talk about him in a second. Actually, no, we can talk about him now. And that is Helson. And now, originally, he was going to have a last name called Arasay, which I couldn't fit into the name because there's no surnames in this game. So I can't do that, unfortunately. But there is some. But yeah, I mean, some mods will have surnames, but this Third Age doesn't. Unless I tried to get in the files as a nickname, but that didn't work either. So I just gave up. So Helson. So what is the meaning behind Helson Arasay? So basically, Helson Arasay, and I think it's either in Quenya, I'm pretty sure it's Quenya, or Sindarin. It means frozen stag. So Helson means frozen, and Arasay means stag, with a little accent above the E, I think. And that's basically the meaning behind that. So frozen stag basically means Helson Arasay, which is pretty cool. I like that. So that's basically my little inspiration for my own little custom general. In every single story, if I ever add a custom general that's based off myself, there's always an ancient sword or a family sword or some sort of sword motive going on. I think there's a little spider on me actually. There's a sword motive, so I thought I'd give him an ancient sword as a little nod to that. But yes, Helson, I thought, and the portrait is not me. I couldn't be bothered. I mean, look, does that look at anything like me? Not really, no. I don't have that long hair. So I came up with a random portrait. In fact, I think that's actually Amroth from TCI Last Alliance, the portrait that I use there, which is cool. It works quite nicely, so there you go. So there you go. That and this sort of background image looks the same as what you can see from Legolas and Otar as well, so I thought that went pretty well. So that's why I used the same portrait. But yeah, I mean, there's kind of a resemblance. I mean, I have some sort of a beard. He doesn't. And yeah, I don't have that long hair, so yeah, no. I don't think I can even grow out my hair that much, but it's pretty cool, pretty majestic. If only they did that for the Rings of Power, but there you go. So that's Helson. I'll talk about his bodyguard in a bit, but there he is. And he's lived for a while. 23, like it seems to be like 23, 25, 29. Seems to be like quite an old age for elves. Because elves, obviously, they can't be called like 2000 or something in the game files. So that's the closest I got. So Helson's a fairly old elf. He's been around for a long time. Didn't fight in the Battle of the Daggerlad, but was obviously... has still been around a long while, so could have been around the same time as Thranduil, and could have been a childhood friend. But eventually, over time, he fell in love with Elarinia, and has married her. And I also wanted to bring in a couple of the custom generals into the game, like into the family tree, I mean, so they can actually have children. We can see their families develop, and it'd be quite cool. Obviously, you can see Legolas as well, married to someone, and I'll reveal who he's married to later on. It will appease some people, or it might not like, or some people might not like it. We'll say, I guess. But there is Helson Arasay, but Helson is just the name we're going to call him for now. Thranduil was obviously here as well, with his little biography there, with his details. I might read that in the first episode. And it's got this Aran en Laquer Torre, which is a... I'm not quite sure what that is. I think it's like a crown, like a little forest sort of crown or reef, I think. And the Emeralds of Girion, who was the last king of Dale before it was destroyed by the dragon Smaug. And I was obviously giving them back to Bard the Bowman, who then gave them to the Woodland King Thranduil, who was originally... I think originally, I can't remember if they... Because there were gems that Thranduil desired. I can't remember if it was those particular gems. I'm not quite sure. But anyway, they were gifted to him after the Battle of the Five Armies, which is pretty cool. And then, of course, Legolas is here as well, looking smashing. Best of the best commanders. He's better than Thranduil, actually. Only by 1 mark. And obviously he has his biography there. He's first commander of the Sylvan armies, and his knife. Legolas' little personal knife. He has a Silme, which is the same thing that Frodo had, the Light of Eärendil, which is pretty cool. It has a nice House of Orivir trait as well. And to appease all the people that I figured that probably, because Legolas desired her, and Toriel didn't, because I was going to say the books. She didn't exist in the books, but in obviously the films, she loved Gilly. But it's been a couple of years since that, and obviously she's probably moved on, or we could just say that relationship never happened. And I've married off Legolas to Toriel. Not quite the same because of how generals work in the game. When I do my overhaul, I probably won't have a female general, so Toriel's the bodyguard she has will be given to somebody else. You'll see. I'll talk about those guys in a second. But I thought I'd marry off Legolas to Toriel, which I thought was pretty fitting. It's either that if I had Toriel as a general, I'd be motivated to have other female generals as generals, and I thought, no, I don't want to go into that. But yes, so I can smell dinner. That smells very nice. So yes, he's married with Toriel, and Caladwen is married off to Otar. Now, Otar is actually a general that I noticed, or a character really, from the CK2 Middle Earth project, who for some reason holds up lands up in the northern section of the Woodland Realm. So I thought I'd add him as a custom general, and I thought I'd have him married off and a bit of a romance going on with Caladwen. Or Caladwen. Oh dear. It's been a while since I've done a DAC campaign. It's been a while since I've read out things. That's why I probably didn't do such a great job of reading. But yeah, and Elven names, I haven't pronounced them in a while, so do forgive me. Any pronunciation are welcome, but I will probably favour the pronunciation of my own preferred pronunciation. But if there's a particular genuine, I'd still like to know what it is anyway. But I probably will revert back to whatever I'm comfortable with in the long run. But Otar's here as well. The axe might give it away for what sort of bodyguard he may have. But there you go. That's Otar. And also we have Toriel and Ellared and Ellarin, who you may not know who they are. And they are these... I should have really looked this up. But they basically were two young elves that were in the sacking of one of the cities from the Sons of Feanor. I might look this up before the recording. The first episode anyway. They, of course, were basically assumed to be dead. But in my version of events... they were actually rescued by Oriffer and some of Thranduil and some of the sort of Sylvan Elves, and they were actually taken as wards, almost adopted sons almost of Oriffer, and grew up alongside Thranduil, hence why they're slightly younger than Thranduil, but they are so not really grown up is not the correct word, is it really? But yeah, I got two portraits that look quite the same. I can't remember who that guy is. Amdir from DCR Last Lines. That I'm not too sure. I think he's a herald or something. I think. No, he's not herald. He's somebody. I can't remember. I can't remember who he is, but yeah, he's someone in DCR Last Lines. I know that because that's some of the portraits I got from. And also there's another guy there I'll talk about who's got a portrait from, I think, DCI Last Alliance, but it's an old one, I think. But it's still pretty good. But they're those portraits I chose because Elrond and Elrond, I think they were either twins or very closely. I think they were twins. And they were either they're either twins or like they were like brothers of around the same age. Yes, they are twins, hence why they're called 20. They're both 20. Yes, I remember. So I got portraits that looked similar to them roughly. So that's kind of what I did. Elrond has an elven necklace, which is sort of a... I think it's actually one you can get for a princess, actually. But, yeah, he has an elven necklace, which I'm going to say is something that belonged to his family before they were all killed by the Sons of Fëanor. And also, Elrond has lambus bread as well, which is pretty cool. And also, the last general then we can move on to what the bodyguards are, is Galleon, who, of course, is famously the butler in the books, and also features... He's also actually a general for DCI Last Alliance as well, for the Realm of Erin Garland, which is what they're called in that. And Galleon is here as a custom general for the Elves, and of course he is a butler, and that's the portrait I used for him. And he's been around for a while. Obviously he fought in the War of the Last Alliance, hence why he was in DCI Last Alliance faction. So I thought that made sense. We'll chuck him in for as a general for that, I guess. So there you go. So let's go through the bodyguards. And now obviously I don't really need to show you the ones for Legolas and of course Thranduil. Obviously there was a unit with Legolas that I've got rid of. And Legolas of course comes with the beautiful... I will actually save here because I actually don't want to use up their movement points because I don't know what play I'm going to do yet. But Prince Legolas, of course, comes with his own strategy model and the battle model you'll see in the campaign. And he comes with Hinny Dower, which is a phenomenally good unit. One of my favourite units, actually. They also have Silverthorn arrows, which is my favourite looking arrows. It's also, if you watch my Battle for the Earth good campaign for the second game, I use the Silverthorn arrows all the time. I love them, and the Hinny Dower is one of my favourite units in all of DAC. Probably one of my favourite range units, I guess, if I was to narrow it down. But I think in total, I think I would probably go on a whim and just say they're just my favourite unit overall, I think. But they're really cool, and I'm a big fan of them. So Elrond comes with a bodyguard of the Maithe Ifuawa, which is, I don't know if I pronounced that right, but they're the warriors of the forests. And they are basically really powerful strike infantry, big heavy axes, and look pretty cool. Also, some of the armor grades are different for the EUR submod as well, and we see that when we jump into the campaign. But the Maithe Ifuawa then, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm going to go with that. They have a defensive against armor and a really good strike infantry, good charge bonus, and a decent defense as well, and decent armor and defense skill. They have a shield though, so they will get prone to getting hit by arrows, so watch out for that. That's the Maithe Ifuawa, looking pretty damn good. Now, Elrond, in my version, when I set up the DAC, that's another thing. A lot of the generals you'll see, there aren't as many generals I could have added in, because there's a lot more units in this mod. I did that on purpose, because I didn't want to have too many units in the game. Too many generals in the game with loads and loads of units. So I've kept the ones that I'm going to use in my own submod for DAC version 5. Obviously, it's something I may update later down the line, but I won't worry about it for now. It's something we'll do later on. Can you see the... No, you can't really see it very well. Let's just turn the webcam off now. The webcam I'll leave on now and again, but I think it might just be something... It's just for this video. I'm keen to know your thoughts, but it might be something I'll leave on, or maybe I'll move it further in the corner of the screen. But I might leave it on. I'm going to leave it off for like certain videos. I might leave it off for the first episode. I'll see how it go. But yeah, thoughts and suggestions are always welcome. Yeah, depending on what the certain games and campaigns, I may just turn the webcam off. It's just slightly easier. So that way you can see all the things on the screen. But yes, so Elrond comes with the unit this is only for EUR, and that is the Elven Bow Stag Riders. Also, the stats of Elrond, I've kind of like randomized them. I haven't really paid that much attention to the stats. Eventually, they'll improve if they're leading armies and things, so I'm not too fussed. But Elrond haven't done much in the way of fighting, hence why they're not really that much younger than Legolas. I'd say about 300 to a couple of thousand years different. I don't know how old Legolas actually is in the game. But obviously they're slightly older, so that's where I've gone there. But Elrond comes with the Elven Bow Stag Riders, which is a stag ride unit as well. Some people might not like the stags or like the goats for the dwarves in this submod, but at the end of the day, it's just a bit of fun. It's a bit like Warhammer, isn't it, I guess? But I mean, hey, it's not. I mean, Tolkien never wrote about it, but I mean, it's not far fetched in the fantasy universe for there to be giant stags and giant goats and things. So, in a world where dragons are a thing, you know, it's fine. It's just a bit. It's a bit of fun at the end of the day. It's not like we're accurate. It's like the team is accurately creating a completely lore accurate mod, because half the factions wouldn't exist. But yeah, Elvenbow Stag Riders. In future, I might give him the bodyguard that Toriel has, or I'll give him maybe I'll give him a slightly different bodyguard. We'll see. I'm not sure yet. But yeah, this is just for this version. For what I do in my sub mod, it could be slightly different. Yeah, who knows? But a lot of the stuff you'll see here is stuff you'll probably see in the sub mod, because what I do is I port most of the files over for my own version. But not all the units and things like that. The units I'll leave as they are. Because I want my mod to be vanilla plus, basically. But yeah, it comes with the Elvenbow Stag Riders, which is a very new unit, and they're pretty good. Be good to see them on the field. Toriel comes with a bodyguard. Now, I think in EUR, I think they probably will give it to Hini Dower. But I mentioned, I don't know if this is something the team will do in completely, but I mentioned it'd be cool to give Toriel possibly the Elven King's Bowguard, as she was always the captain of the household guard, so maybe it makes sense that she would be captain. Maybe she'd have a Bowguard that's quite close to protecting like a really good unit. So that's why my reasoning for that. So she comes with the Elven King's Bowguard, which is a very good arch unit, and obviously very powerful. Now, obviously there are a few issues that you'll notice with the upkeep costs and things like that, but I will fix that for when I start the game. I may even possibly restart the game and give us a buff to the King's Purse, possibly. But I just didn't really think about it before I started. But I can always go back and do that again. It's no problem. I can always I can trigger the Toriel script as many times as I want. There's no limitation in that regard. But I may up the King's Purse just to give us a boost, I suppose, to stop us going to debt straight away. But obviously there are forts around and we can make use in the campaign, so there's no rush, no problems there. But yeah, Toriel comes to Bowguard, which is pretty cool. Moving over then to Thranduil, we'll know what bodyguard here have, and that will of course be the Arid Hereth, which is a very powerful unit, very good strike infantry, and of course use their bows as well. I think they have I can't remember if it's, are they the, no, that's another unit I'm thinking of. No. Their secondary weapon of course is armor piercing, but they have a higher missile attack stat just by 1 by the Bowguard, and I think 1 higher than of course the Hini Dower. Yes, correct. I'm sure the Hini Dower used to be like 14 missile attack once, but I think they probably lowered that. But that's what a bodyguard Thranduil comes with. Then we got Helson comes with bodyguard Artiricon, which is of course the best mounted archer unit you can get for the Woodland Realm, and that's a unit that he comes with as well, which is pretty cool. Usually I probably would have given him a different bodyguard, maybe the Bowguard I won't give for Helson, so I prefer a range but with a sword bodyguard, but like the Oscar veterans and the Grey Company. Well, the Grey Company, not really Grey Company, because I think the Grey Company should have an archer. They should have an archers in them as well, like steel bowmen, but also like a melee. But I suppose it's quite too similar to the steel bowman, I guess. But that'd be kind of cool. It shows off Aragorn's abilities as an archer as well as a melee fighter, which would be cool. Then comes the Artiricon. And then Galleon comes with the bodyguard of the Elder Council. I figured he's been around for quite a while, so him coming with a elite Elder Council, like a bodyguard like the Elder Council made sense. He's got the Sylvan Spear and of course the spear which they use in the Elder Council, and they throw javelins as well, which is pretty cool. And the Elder Council look pretty cool, I have to say. Some of these have like armor upgrades as well, which is kind of unintentional. Just when I was putting the files in the units in, they just came with armor upgrades. I found I used the Legolas as a base, and it just came with armor upgrades. So we'll be able to see the cool armor upgrades as well. Some of you may complain that maybe it's too OP for them to have these bodyguards at the start, but I suppose it's a bit of fun. And at the end of the day, obviously the upkeep is going to sort of cause issues for you as well. So it balances out a little bit as well. And also it's just a nice little teaser of what's to come. But yes, as hinted to earlier, Otar comes with the Elven King's Axe Guard, which is a really cool armor-piercing axe unit, and a really cool attack of 15 and total defense of 27, so pretty cool. He also is in range to grab some tail cavalry as well, depending on the start. We also got a spy that is in, he's in normal DAC actually, so there's nothing new there. And I got a diplomat that starts with us early on. We can build another one, but that's fine. We got Beleg, who joins us as a nice little diplomat in the game. Okay. So, what exactly is the poll? If you waited this long, it's finally time to reveal to you what the poll will be. So the poll will be a choice of the different starts we will do for the Woodland Realm. You're probably thinking, how? Well, I know how to do some modding. I also know how to do a bit of console commands, so I can set up some different starts. I thought I'd give it to you guys a choice. What sort of campaign you want me to do? Because at the end of the day, I do a lot of campaign YouTube that honestly most people have probably seen before and from some other channel or whatnot. So I want to always do something a bit different, and this is my way of just doing my own unique thing without having to pander entirely to the YouTube algorithm and like highly edited videos and stuff like that. Yeah, so that's just not me. I like the way I'm doing YouTube now, and that isn't going to change. YouTube is not a full-time job, so I don't have to pander to the algorithm in any way. So it's entirely down to me. I do what I want, basically. So yeah, so what sort of different starts will we do? I'll go toggle photo to make sense. So the first start, which so there basically will be 4 options in the poll, and the poll will be linked in the description of the video. I will direct people to this. I'll try and if I can do some timestamps, I'll do some timestamps to direct people to various things. But yes, the first start will be the normal start. So basically just what you can see here. So all the generals in their positions and whatnot and stuff like that. Maybe with the King's Purse edited so we don't go into debt straight away. Although we can fix that relatively easily. But maybe I might give us a bit of a buff and just so we don't go to crushing debt immediately. Which would be nice. So the normal start will be a normal start, which will be where we are, Thranduil's Halls and Torfalin, preparing to go south and all that stuff. The second interesting, peculiar start is a very sort of hardcore start, which is, if you ever watched my Erebor campaign, I did a start where we basically, where Kirigafur had been taken by orcs, and we had quite a few armies, and we had a massive battle for Kirigafur with lots of AI armies and our allies and myself involved, and it was really fun. And we did the same for Erebor and Kirigafur as well, and it was a really fun little start to way to start off the campaigns, and I really liked it. And that's something I'm open to doing as well. So essentially what that will be is that Kirigafur would have, not Kirigafur, Torfalin would have fallen to possibly Angmar or possibly the Dol Guldur or Gundabad, then we have to fight over it with like a massive little battle with our armies. And then basically we have some allies like the Dwarves might be involved, the Dale might be involved, the Anduin, the Dorwinian might be involved as well, which is pretty cool. And basically we have to fight for Torfalin back, and we also need to do a defensive battle at Thranduil's Halls to repel the invasion of maybe the Mordor or somebody else that's causing issues for us, which would be quite fun. That's my little hardcore start. So basically, we just start with Thranduil's Halls. It's just Thranduil's Halls, and we have to retake Torfalin and whatnot. I might have it so that the generals over here, so this army will be the same. Maybe I'll go around and grab some mercenaries to beef up our armies, or I might use the Process RQ cheat to, well, basically this. I'll show you actually. Process RQ. Basically, via EOP, it actually unlocks a bunch of the cheats that were previously weren't able to do. Oh, hang on, that's gonna be a problem then. I'll tell you what. I'm just gonna change this a minute. So I've just got a Thranduil, and I should be able to do this. There you go. So that basically gives you units straight away. So I might do that cheat just to give us a little bit of an army to fight against our enemies with. And it just gives us a bit of a high-stakes campaign at the beginning with a massive battle to decide the fate of the campaign. Now, I can do a similar thing here as well with Torfalin. Just to show you really what I can do with this. Oh dear. Is it the... I didn't spell that right, didn't I? Yeah. Sometimes you have to do this around if it's a space. There you go. So basically I can do that. And then what we do is we disband our troops and stabilize the economy afterwards. But it just gives us a bit of a high-stake thing where we've got to actually fight to defend Thranduil's Halls, and we also got to fight to take back Torfalin as well. So it sets us off in a really interesting start. The second option, the third option, that was the second option. The third option is a horde, like these are basically going to be third and fourth options. But the idea is they're going to be horde starts. So basically we start as a horde. Now I don't know how I'm going to set this up, so either I mod it or I just have it so that we have a one region somewhere, and then that region I'll just get rid of at some point. So what I might do is have Thranduil's Halls, Torfalin, and have like set up some lore in RP that they've been conquered by another faction. And basically we're in Horde and we're on our way to a new location to settle or to take the fight to our enemies. So the third option for where, if we were to do this Horde start and where would we start, and that particular place would be the Hill of Sorcery itself, Dol Guldur. And you're probably thinking, God, that's a tricky start. And it is, because taking Dol Guldur from the start is tricky as hell. Because I'm pretty sure you'll have to fight a garrison. Kumul himself will be inside, so there's that to worry about. And there's quite a beefy garrison inside just to fight as well. So it'll be quite an interesting start with just Dol Guldur, and then being quite close to Mordor as well. And also in sort of nearby, quite not far from Isengard as well. So we could fit here. Get the Bronze of Isengard. And depending on who the hell controls Thranduil's Halls and Tor Falin, we will have to obviously go north and fight them. Basically, it's almost like a Dol Guldur campaign, but as the Elves, but which would be kind of cool. Which is a fun little Horde start. I think it would be quite interesting. The next option then for Horde start, if we were to do another Horde start and it isn't Dol Guldur, I did think about Mordor, but I thought that would be just too hard. That would just be ridiculously difficult. And also wouldn't make sense how they would even get there anyway. Or why the Elves would even go there. And the fourth final option would be Ost in Phil, because, and I'll show you this as well, is because as the Woodland Realm, oh, I like that little text, I didn't read that. You can actually reclaim Ost in the Phil and upgrade the Gwythi Myrddine, and you can get the Woodland Realm to muster the Eregian Smiths, which is really cool. I love that. And you get Dawn and Norston will fight. Hang on, wait, no. I'm jumping ahead of myself here. No, Dawn and Norston will fight for the High Elves, not us, I'm afraid. That'd be cool if we did, though. And you get a few different scripts as well, so stuff like that. Obviously, there is a theme of Thranduil's Halls being attacked by Mordor. So I might have to do... I may have to set things up. You will then download an reinforcement about you can use to choose. I'm just trying to think, would that... I think you can reject it earlier. But I may set it up so you might have to have Thranduil's Halls. And I might leave like a little unit in there and then just like auto-win the battles just to keep hold of it. But RP-wise, in my head, it won't be controlled by us, basically. But yeah, so there's a few different options we can either... So the first one, obviously, is just a normal campaign. The normal start... the second option is a hardcore start where we're facing the massive army at Thranduil's Halls and taking back Tor Falin. So basically, Thranduil's Halls, just a single province start essentially. The third option is obviously a Horde mode, but obviously starting Dol Guldur. And the fourth option starting over in Ost in the Phil, which will make the Woodland Realm campaign very interesting. So we'll be basically fighting Moria and helping out the Dwarves of Khazad-dûm. And basically, eventually, we'll probably at some point eventually return to our ancestral lands and reclaim it eventually. But it's a really interesting start, and then going to Ost in the Phil to reclaim the lost city would be very interesting. How I'd RP, I don't know. Probably RP it so that the Dwarves of Khazad-dûm helped out in some way, or maybe that the High Elves have possibly gone through Goblin Town or through a hidden passage through the mountains, and the High Elves have helped them, and the High Elves have given them some supplies and stuff to help them reclaim Ost in the Phil in their name, and to basically have a little elven realm to the south of them, and then basically expand east and whatnot, and go through to take the homelands and maybe help out the Dwarves of Khazad-dûm as well. Which would be quite an interesting little idea, to be honest. But obviously the Dol Guldur is quite challenging. The hardcore one is going to be quite difficult because that's because the armies that I'm going to send are going to be quite hard. It will be the armies that are in the game already, so because I don't want to do too much scripting and modding too much really. I've already done loads, so basically some armies will be sent north to fight against us, and it'll make it a bit challenging, which would be quite fun as well. But yes, that's all then. This has been a bit of a long video, really. I didn't really plan to be that long, but there was a lot of stuff that I wanted to chat about, really, about as I've come back to YouTube officially with a single-player campaign. It's been a while since we've done that. So I thought there's a few things I want to discuss about the channel and the Discord briefly, although it's Discord, I'll do my own video. And also, there's a lot of stuff I wanted to discuss about this campaign, a lot of things I've done. In future, the prologue episodes will be a bit shorter, but there's a bit of my mind to talk about. But anyway, that's all for now then, and until we speak again, dear friends, and I shall see you all for the first episode of this Woodland Realm campaign, once we've got a winner for the 4 different start options. So once again, the normal start, the hardcore start, the Dol Guldur start, or the Ost in the Phil start. So very, very interesting options there, and either one should be pretty fun to play as. But anyway, that's all for now, and until we speak again, dear friends, Navine and then Permad Mernin, and farewell.